Good evening, friends, family, country people. It's Valerie Ling here. Good evening to you. I hope that your day thus far has been a pleasant enough day without too much drama. Hello, Daniel from Singapore. It's always so nice to see you, Daniel. I'm hoping you're keeping well, hoping that you've had, what time is it there where you are? It's 6:30 in Sydney. About 2 hours, 4:30. It's time for tea, Daniel. Time for tea. All right. I am just hoping to share this out because if you haven't already noticed, particularly if you are following pages, local pages that I have, today is a big yellow posty kind of day because it is Are You Okay Day. Are You Okay Day. So the theme of this year, Are You Okay Day, is Are You Really Okay? And I would love to just share with you some reasons as to why are we actually wanting to ask, Are you really okay? What could happen after you ask, Are you really okay? And what the next steps are when that really does happen. Here's the thing about human beings and our need to feel like we have things under control. Most of the time, we are rather future looking. And when we look at the future, we attempt to predict some kind of certainty and predictability. It goes with our general intrinsic intuition towards goal setting and to feeling like we're having forward movement when we're ticking off things. These days, that has become even more of a psychological need, although not always a helpful need, because a lot of what we do doesn't come to a sense of completion. Like, we're very rarely these days trading in economies where we are making things or doing things to an end. Most of the time we're problem solving or coming up with ideas or investing in people and situations that you may never see an outcome in your lifetime. So we trade in the intangibilities. And because a lot of our experiences are in the intangibilities, the restlessness and the anxiety of uncertainty of not knowing how an outcome is going to turn out can really make us feel quite stressed and anxious. And so by nature, we want to head towards some kind of certainty, towards some kind of predictability, and towards some kind of closure. And so the nasty bug that is going around globally at the moment really messes up with that need and that desire and that escalated belief that if we can just figure something out, like if we can just get the equation, if we can just figure out the settings, if we can know when that would happen, then I will feel so much better. And so what we then do is we try to hold it all in, right? Just like hold your stuff together. I could have said something else just then, but I try not to. Hold your stuff together. Hold it all in. If we dig into what we're feeling right now, it could all come out as an explosion, and then we will lose control and we will feel infinitely worse. That's the belief anyway. So this year, the focus is on asking not only, are you okay, but pausing to actually ask a follow-up, perhaps, of saying, are you really okay? And that is probably because you might get the answer, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine, because people might be just holding it all in the fear that if they sort of say how they're really feeling, it's all going to come out. Now, why is that happening? Well, probably because there's not a lot of spaces for us to chat. We're not really connecting that much with one another. There is a pent up of all these conversations that we haven't had. And we essentially are doing a lot of Zoom things, and we're tired, right? So we probably don't have the emotional resources to regularly just churn through those emotions and come back to base. And so when you ask someone, are you okay, they're probably even more likely to say, yeah, I'm going okay, because like we just want to move on from the emotional experience. So by asking, are you really okay, you're actually coming back in a second time to go underneath that layer and saying, no, I'm really interested. I'm making time. I would love to hear, are you really okay? Now, I'm not sure about you. When that happens with me, a wave of emotion can hit me. I can suddenly feel incredibly vulnerable or teary, or really strong emotions can come over me, because when someone actually stops to say, are you really okay, it taps into a vulnerable space when you feel the beginnings of letting down your guard and feeling like very small, and the big emotions are coming out because frankly they're like busting to get out, and it can all come out. And you might find your friend maybe really overwhelmed or teary or apologetic or embarrassed. And the tendency there is we might then feel bad and go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. This is, oh, I don't want you to feel this way, because, this is going to make things worse. Well, actually, it's okay for those emotions to come out. In fact, it's probably not a bad thing that those emotions come out, because unless those emotions come out, they don't see the light of day, they will be, they'll come out in some other ways. And so asking someone, are you really okay? And sitting with the emotions and giving it time, for the big crest and the big waves is okay. We don't have to put it back in the box. And all the more because we may not actually know how someone's mental health is actually really tracking, because if you're only seeing this much of them, like of what you can see of me, you won't be able to figure out the baseline of where someone is. And very often we figure out the baselines of how someone is in terms of how they usually are, because we see them in all different contexts. We can pick up if they're not sleeping, or if they're not eating, or if they're withdrawing from conversation, if they're not, rocking up for certain events, and you're like, where has so-and-so gone? So those baselines aren't there. And by asking, are you okay? Are you really okay? And then following up and being more connected and being consistent in asking people. I certainly think there's room and space for us to consistently ask people, are you okay? This may sound a bit trite, but I am really interested, and I like to make the time and to connect with you, to check in on you. These frequent check-ins are incredibly helpful, not just because it provides an opportunity for people to say they need help, but it's also opportunities to feel cared for, right? To actually feel that someone's taken some time out to say, I thought about you, you're important to me, I care about you, and so I'm asking you today, are you okay? So I hope that someone has asked you if you are okay. It's not too late every day for us to do that. If it's just one person we connect in, imagine that domino effect that just goes boom, 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 boom. I shall leave you with those thoughts, and hope that you have a restful evening wherever in the world you are, or joyful start to your morning. Take care.